Hello and welcome to Rookie Recap, a show on UCTV Sports where we dive into the debut season of the 58 players that were selected for the 2023 NBA Draft. My name is Julliana Bravo.
And I'm Daisy Gonzalez. Today we'll be looking at the next 15 players that were selected in the second round. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get started.
Drafted 31st overall was James Nanji. Now, he was drafted to the Charlotte Hornets, but he ended up going back to his home team of FC Barcelona. Some people say that he needs a little bit more time to develop. He's only been playing basketball for 7 years. Even at Barcelona in past years, he wasn't playing too many games or having that many points, and this season looks no different. Unfortunately, the last time he had any points was in a blowout win where he scored 6 points. So obviously the only way to get better is to keep playing. I'm pretty sure he does have the ability to come back to the Charlotte Hornets within 2 years, so we'll see if he develops as a player and comes back to Charlotte.
The 32nd pick was Jalen Pickett. He was drafted by the Nuggets, but he's mostly in the G League, and his last 3 games in the NBA, he hasn't gotten any playing time or points. The Nuggets recalled Pickett from the G League 3 days ago on Monday because another player was questionable for the game against the Bucks. In his regular season this year, he has averaged around 6 minutes and around 2 points. He's a unique prospect given his frame and passing touch, and he will likely need a year in the G League to develop, having to get a shot and to be able to get consistent NBA minutes.
Drafted 33rd overall was Leonard Miller. Now, he was recently out for an illness and did not play, and he's currently playing in the G League, but he's doing pretty well. In the last 5 games, he scored anywhere from 21 to 30 points, but he hasn't played a game since February 10th. I'm not sure if that's because of his illness or just a coach's decision. Overall, he excels in rebounds, especially offensive rebounds, which I've said is really important for teams, especially if they're not really strong defensively. Again, I'm not too surprised that he's not playing in the NBA. The Timberwolves already have a good established identity, but he is a very strong player and a quick player on the court.
The 34th pick is Colby Jones. His last 3 games he hasn't played, but this season with the Kings he has played 17 games, averaging 7 minutes and around 2 points. He's not super active. He hasn't played 10 games in the last month. But he's showing out in the G League, and he's making most of his opportunity he has.
Drafted 35th overall was Julian Phillips. Now, throughout the season, he hasn't been seeing too many points or been playing at all, and he had a stellar game in late January compared to the rest of his season, where he scored 11 points in 23 minutes. Earlier this year, he said that he knew the veteran status of the Bulls wasn't going to give him that many minutes, but he did say he was a versatile player. Overall, more recently, he's been getting a few more minutes and a few more games, but nothing too significant. I'm not entirely sure why he's not playing in the G League. If he's not playing in the NBA, obviously it's not his choice, but we'll see how he does in the future and if he ends up devoting his time to one place.
Drafted next was Andre Jackson Jr., our very own. He was drafted by the Bucks. In his last 3 games, he has played from around 13 to 6 minutes, and he has played in 30 out of the 36 games, and he has started 5, but he averages just under 10 minutes per game. Most of his contributions have come in small increments, whether that's coming in during second quarters or just coming in for a few minutes. He usually draws the opposing team's best perimeter scorer and is a killer defensive player. Just like when he was at UConn, he brings the energy, whether that's coming off the bench or starting, and we certainly see this in the NBA, and I only think he's going to get better.
Drafted 37th overall was Hunter Tyson. He recently fractured his finger, so it's unsure how many games that'll put him out for. He's not played too many games in the NBA, so he did go to the G League, but he's doing pretty well. His last game on February 4th, he scored 34 points in 34 minutes, and throughout the entire G League, he scored anywhere from 11 to actually 2 34-point games. He excels in defensive rebounds, which is something that draft experts were highlighting when he was drafted. I wonder if he would have excelled with the Thunder, because the way his contract worked is that he was sent to the Nuggets via the Thunder. Just because the Thunder are a generally young team, and he is a young player, but we'll never know. But I do think that his time will come soon with the Nuggets.
The 38th pick was Jordan Walsh. He was drafted by the Celtics. The rookie has only made 3 appearances with Boston all season, only playing 15 minutes of insufficient time. On Wednesday, though, he got a surprise opportunity to play against the Nets. He had 18 minutes, but no points were scored. In the G League, he has played 15 games, averaging around 31 minutes and 15 points per game. He's doing well in the G League, as we can see, but when he was put in that NBA game, his skill set kind of shrunk. But Walsh still holds his own with speed and positioning himself well on closeouts, while also getting a lot of blocks and steals. There's plenty of room for growth for Walsh on the offensive end, but he's encouraged by a lot of the players on the Celtics. Since he is the youngest member of the roster, there's still so much for him to do.
Drafted 39th overall was Mohamed Gay. Now, unfortunately, he injured his back, and he's been out since October 30th. People are unsure when he'll come back. Not too much information about him. It's just unfortunate about his injury and his non-specific timeline.
The 40th pick was Maxwell Lewis. In the last 3 games, he has only played 1, only with 2 minutes. But this season, he's played 19 games, averaging 3 minutes, but still no points. In the G League, he has played 13 games, and he has started all of those, averaging around 29 minutes with 14 points. Like every other rookie, he has a lot of room to grow. He's got drafted to the Lakers, which is a very strong team, so he really needs to build that skill set in order to be shown on the NBA court.
Drafted 41st overall was Amari Bailey. Now, he signed a 2-way contract with the G League, and he's currently playing in the G League. Beside a few outlier games, he's scoring double digits almost every single game. His most recent game, he scored 23 points with a total of 4 rebounds. So overall, he's doing pretty well. He's a good player, and he's also excelling in steals with about 1.5 per game. I'm confident in his ability to play in the NBA once he's gotten more comfortable in the G League.
The 42nd pick was Tristan Vukovich. He went back to Serbia, so there isn't much to recap.
Drafted 43rd overall was Ryan Repair. Now, he's seen a few minutes in the NBA with 16 games played, but just about 2.6 points on average. He had a pretty good month in January, but he's been listed as questionable and out for much of February. He's currently in the G League, and his last game was February 13th, where he scored 12 points in 13 minutes. Overall, he's not playing too many games in the G League or the NBA. Another one of these players that's neither playing here nor there, so I'm wondering if the team is just testing them out. He's a strong player. Like I said, he's playing in the G League with double digits in every game, and pretty good defensive rebounds, and we'll see how he does in the future.
The 44th pick was Cedric Soko. He was drafted to the Spurs. In his last 3 games, he hasn't gotten any playing time, but he has played 5 games this season, averaging around 6 minutes, but only 1 point. In the G League, he has played 8 games, averaging 26 minutes and 13 points. The offensive upside isn't really there yet. The consistency hasn't shown, but his defensive ability pops. He doesn't have a good first step, so he really relies on his strength. Again, there's so much improvement as he just begins. His size allows him to play anything from point guard to point forward. He plays with energy and effort, which are small fundamental things that don't really show up on the box score. So again, there's so much improvement to be made.
Drafted 45th overall was G.G. Jackson. Now, he was inactive for almost the entirety of the season until late December when he went to the G League. He saw relatively good minutes and good points, but he ended up coming back to the NBA in early January, and he's been doing really well. His last game, he scored 20 points, and in the past 18 games after he was inactive, he's been scoring 39% from 3 and 45% from the field. Recently, he received a 1-game suspension for violating team rules, but he's back, and he's a strong player, and the Memphis definitely do think so as well, because he recently signed a 4-year contract with 3 guaranteed seasons. That's all we have for this episode. We'll be back next week with the last set of players that were drafted into the 2023 NBA Draft. My name is Juliana Bravo.
And I'm Daisy Gonzalez. Thanks for watching.